Welcome. I'm so glad you're here. When COVID hit, like most of you, my world turned upside down. But out of the chaos and uncertainty of that time, I'm slowly beginning to learn a new way of life and becoming a healthier, stronger person. I'd like to share a story with you. In the depths of the pandemic, my son Bryce threw me a curveball and made an announcement. He was planning a 2-week trip to Italy. Sure, it sounded exciting, but it made my anxiety and my self-doubt shoot through the roof. On a phone call with me, he simply said, "We're going to Italy next year for 2 weeks and you're coming with us." To put this in context, Bryce knows I have anxiety when it comes to travel, and an even greater fear of being away from the office for any extended period of time. You see, I've enjoyed vacations with Bryce, his wife Kelsey, and my grandkids at Disney World, so I responded to his phone call with, "Okay," even as I doubted this trip would really happen. I mean, after all, the pandemic ushered in local and global restrictions on traveling, gathering, even eating together. So the idea of a European vacation seemed a bit outlandish. And it was also scary. I hadn't taken a 2-week vacation in decades, if ever. When I did go out of town, I took my laptop and I worked whenever I could. Emails do need to be answered after all. I just couldn't share Bryce's enthusiasm when he would call with updates to the Italy trip itinerary. And whenever I was at his house in the months leading up to the trip, Bryce and Kelsey would talk about the Italy trip with the kids. They would look at the villa we had rented online, explore the maps of medieval Lucca, and study the beach walkways at Via Reggio, where we would day trip to. They would try and teach basic phrases in Italian so the kids could say por favor, grazie, and ciao. They wanted their children to learn to be good guests in another country. But more than anything else, they learned about gelato. And every single time we talked about the trip to Italy, Bryce would say there's only one rule we have when it comes to our visit to Italy. We are all going to have gelato every day. Maybe even more than once a day. Bryce and Kelsey found a villa on a working farm and vineyard near Lucca, a historic city in Tuscany. It was outside of town, so we could limit our contact with people if the pandemic was still raging, and it had enough bedrooms for all of us, including Kelsey's mom and my brother and his family. As Bryce and Kelsey got more and more excited, I got on board, at least superficially. My anxiety continued to build as the trip grew even closer. In fact, I fully anticipated backing out of the trip a week or two ahead of time, going to the office, maybe FaceTiming with my family every evening. I figured Bryce would be disappointed. Heck, he was going to be mad. But I always thought that either the trip would be canceled or I simply wouldn't go. What I never expected was how much encouragement I would receive from my family, my friends, and my coworkers. Buoyed by the enthusiasm and support of everyone around me, I stopped resisting, and before I knew it, I was boarding a plane to Europe. Over the next 2 glorious weeks, my family and I experienced the good life in Tuscany. We spent hours eating together, walking along country roads, climbing 16th century towers, and feeding donkeys. Italy, with its vineyards and historic charm, became our haven, and it became my healing remedy. The anxiety that once held me captive faded, and it was replaced by the laughter of family, the awe of Tuscany's beauty, and the incredible joy that comes with the taste of gelato. So here's to embracing change, defying anxieties, and savoring the sweet moments that life and unexpected journeys offer. Grazie to all who encouraged me to experience this adventure, especially when I doubted myself. So until next time, keep embracing those opportunities and dare to take that next step.